Good morning, everyone. Jana Martins here, and 11th episode of Reboot Your Tech Mind, a place for creating positive habits. We're getting together every Tuesday morning, 7:45 a.m. for quick, practical tips to kickstart your day in the tech world. In each episode, we'll focus on exercise from a range of topics, including goal setting, stress management, productivity hacks, positive affirmation, mindfulness, and so on. So whether you aim to reduce your stress level, stay motivated, or enhance your productivity, we got you covered here. So let's reboot together and create some positive habits. It's a really quick stream, under 15 minutes, but please still, if you have a chance, introduce yourself in the comments and feel free to ask questions. And if we don't have time to answer questions, we can always take them offline. So tonight's topic, beginner's mind. So beginner's mind can be defined as the ability to see things, people, and events with fresh eyes, letting go of previous experience and judgments. The beginner's mind is critical for problem solving and essential for innovative mindset. So in this episode, Nathalie will share tips that can help you to start rewiring your brains and develop cognitive flexibility. So anyway, I'm sure Nathalie will tell you more about that. So without any further delays, over to Nathalie, please.
Thanks, Jana. Hello, everyone. Good morning. Hello to those who are watching us live and those watching the recording. So, as Jana said, the topic for today is beginner's mind, which I really like to call it is a position beginner's mind as a mental strategy or a mental attitude, different than the very first topic we did here, Jana, and probably a couple of months ago, episode number 1, where I was walking you through the process of the ABCD, which is training for attention. Beginner's mind is more subjective, a conceptual kind of discussion. So we'll have a conversation, actually, talk about this idea of beginner's mind, what it is, why is that important, and I'll share a few tips on how you can develop that mental attitude or mental strategy to help you with your role day to day. And in the end, I will also suggest recommend some reading if you like to go further. So without further ado, let's move to the next slide, and I have the control here, which is good. So I think a nice way to open this topic is sharing this quote from Suzuki, a Zen master. Surprise, surprise. So he said, in the beginner's mind, there are many possibilities, but in the experts, there are a few. So in the beginner's mind, there are many possibilities, but in the experts, there are a few. And I don't know about you, but half of my, in my previous life, my first career and working tech, more than half of it, I was a SAP consultant, and people would pay, the big bucks to have me just for the day in a couple of days. So I had this huge pressure on to know all the answers and to be the expert, and know it all. And I think many of us working tech have that big weight on our shoulders. And that's the reality of the role, the reality of the industry. But it takes a toll. So something to keep in mind. And what Suzuki is saying here is that, my interpretation, I don't know what's your take, but my interpretation is that when we see ourselves as the expert, there is no space for learning, no space for growing, no space for listening to other people's perspectives, because we know the answer. It can be sometimes my way or the highway, and that's very dangerous. That can really hinder creativity and innovation. So the invitation here is for us to see, we see ourselves an expert still. We've been around for a while. We've seen many projects. We've been seen many organizations and so on. But to try to the best of our ability to keep an open mind, to listen, to be open to other people's perspectives. And well, we have examples, right? I haven't really prepared as much as I would like to, Yana, so I'll just pick off the cuff. But I think we have examples like, if we bring this to organizational context, companies like, Nokia, which were leaders in market share, when iPhone was introduced, they were like, iPhone is a niche product. hello, completely took over the market. Same with Kodak, which many of you will not know what it is, but was a leader, in photography. And then with digital camera, of course, Kodak went out of business. So we can take this concept of beginner's mind to the organizational level very, very easily.
I
So
think it's also when you're switching career, it's quite important, because when thinking about switching career, but you're a bit scared because you think you're expert in this industry, and it's kind of scary to step out of this comfort zone and like start from the beginning and do something completely new. So I probably can relate to this as well.
big time, yes, absolutely, because we are letting go. We have to let go of the identity of being I am the expert here, and start from scratch. Of course, when you're transferring, you're moving careers. That happened with me, 8 years ago. You have your transferable skills that you carry along, and I guess many organizations really, really value more than ever our soft skills rather than our hard skills, technical skills. Good point, Yana. Thank you. Please jump in anytime. So, cognitive rigidity, it's the opposite of beginner's mind. So, before we go with the definition and talk a little bit more about beginner's mind, I want to talk about what beginner's mind is not. So, excuse me, cognitive rigidity would be the opposite of beginner's mind. So, our brain, when we see a rose, a flower, or a pen, for the first time, like a baby do, we were fascinated, right? It was like, oh my god, we were not talking as a baby, but we were like examining, tasting, doing all these crazy things, because we were for the first time going, okay, this is the object. Sorry, I'll have to wait a sec, clear my throat. So the first time we see an object, we are completely fascinated, because our brain is going like, this is the shape, these are the colors, this is the texture, so this is a marker, this is a highlighter, right? And then we put this in our database. So next time I see an object like this, I'm not like fascinated with all the details. I know this is a highlighter. And of course, these help us to function in life. There is a place and there are benefits of having that habitual perception. We are not fascinated in all every time we see an object. We can go like, yeah, based on these characteristics, I know what it is. And then we can move on with our life. So we create this mental picture in our brain. And that can often lead us to autopilot. And again, is very beneficial and welcome in day-to-day life. That can also lead to bias, because we start to label things, label people, label situations and events. Again, it can be useful, but of course there are downsides of that. So that's cognitive rigidity, right? So the opposite of beginner or cognitive flexibility. So back to the definition of beginner's mind, and the reason why I have a baby here as the image is because classic, I think archetype of the beginner's mind, it's children, right? That curiosity is a big element of beginner's mind. So we can define beginner's mind as the ability to see things, people, and events with fresh eyes, the fresh eyes of a baby, of a child, letting go of previous experience and judgment. Beginner's mind is critical for problem solving, yeah, big time, and essential for innovative mindset. So if we break that down, so the first sentence there can be defined as ability to see things, people, and events with fresh eyes. So that's like the baby-like approach to new things, events. Letting go of previous experience and judgment, easier said than done, because we all have this baggage about if we like someone or if you don't like someone. We have that's on the internal dialogue in our minds is going on when we see a person, and it's absolutely critical for problem solving. I think it's self-explanatory. Why? Because if I'm seeing a problem and I'm trying to resolve the same way again and again, there'll be no space for innovation, of course. I'm conscious of time, Yana. I thought that would be not enough for 15 minutes, but clearly there is a lot in there. So why should we invest in improving our cognitive flexibility or beginner's mind? Well, rigid behavior, rigid thinking, again, hinder innovation, creativity. It can help us with conflict resolution as well. Again, in the professional setting, personal setting as well. If you are the kind of my way or the highway, clearly not a good person to be around often, and that can lead to unhealthy culture, I would say, at home and at work as well. Can improve communication if you are genuinely curious and you ask people. If someone brings an idea that it's foreigner to you, you go, wow, I never thought about it. Tell me more. I'm curious. Why do you see tell me more about your perspective. What are you seeing? Because I would like to see what you're seeing, because I'm not able to see what you're seeing, your perspective. So have genuine curiosity. So that can really help with communication and conflict resolution. And then, of course, broadening one's point of view. So those are the benefits. So tips, practical tips. The reality is, sorry about this. The reality is, surprise, surprise, beginner's mind is a byproduct of a mindfulness practice. Yeah, no, you know my agenda, right? So if you practice mindfulness, beginner's mind come as a bonus. It will happen naturally, is a byproduct of a mindfulness practice. But if you don't have a mindfulness practice, these are some things that at will you can try to implement, and it will definitely improve your ability to cultivate a beginner's mind. So just willing to be curious and open-minded, seek and welcome different perspectives. As I said, if someone bring a completely different point of view, instead of being defensive and go like, this is absolutely wrong, I've been there, I've seen many things, you completely off track here. Be curious about that perspective, genuinely curious about that perspective. Ask questions, be curious. Consider their worldviews. Try to understand their view of the world, because people have experience for a number of reasons that you haven't had. So they can see things that you can't. Yeah, seek to understand the angle. And number 5, which should be number 1, really, to really help you to cultivate a beginner's mind, is to practice mindfulness regularly, because then beginner's mind will be a byproduct. It's a mental strategy developed with a mindfulness practice, a regular mindfulness practice. So an assignment to you, a little bit of a homework, is to think of someone who you find difficult. It could be personal realm, professional realm. We all have someone that we find a bit difficult to deal with, right? So think about a person that you find difficult, or a situation, a task, or a project that you see in a negative way, and try to apply these principles. Try to be open, curious, ask questions, observe what happened, and see if there are any change. If you bring a different perspective to that person or that situation, and challenge our assumptions. Challenging our assumptions is a good one as well. So in terms of recommended reading, like, there's only so much you can unpack in 15 minutes. So Zen Beginner's Mind from Suzuki is a great reference. 1 Second Ahead, I mentioned that in my very first episode here in Reboot Your Tech Mind about attention training. There is a little chapter about beginner's mind in 1 Second Ahead, which is all about applying mindfulness to the context of work. Highly recommend. There is my own article from LinkedIn on how to develop beginner's mind with 3 tips, similar but a little bit different. And this really good article from HBR about curiosity in the context of business, in the context of the workplace, how curiosity, and they break down curiosity in 5 traits. What are the elements of curiosity and how that's useful in the context of work? So that's it, Jana, from me. Time
Perfect.
slightly over
Great
time.
timing.
Thank you.
Great timing. I guess to summarize, every time you bump into the same problem over and over again, try to look at it fresh eyes. Pretend that you don't know anything. Pretend you haven't seen those problems before, haven't spoken with people, and try. Yeah. And try
different angles.
Look at this. Like, if you didn't know what it is, you would never know what it is.
Be curious, yeah.
And try to approach it with completely beginner's mindset, and ask all these stupid questions to yourself at least, and look at the different perspective, and think about kind of those questions that you can ask people instead of telling them just do it your way. And I'm sure there is a place for everything. Sometimes we just need to act really quickly and get the things done. But I'm sure there's a lot of times that you just keep bumping into the same fight, keep bumping to the same problem, and you're just thinking, oh my God, it's never get resolved. This person will never get it. And that's probably the best situation to
That's
practice.
probably cognitive rigidity happening there. Yeah. How long is a piece of string, right? Of course, at some stage we need to, cut off and say, no, this is enough of exploration, experimentation. But if you don't allow that often, maybe experiment with that approach a little bit and see what happens.
Thank you, Nathalie. I hope everyone enjoyed our quick tip today. Please make sure to like this video as usual. It will encourage me to keep going and keep bringing various experts on Tuesday mornings and also on Wednesday afternoons. And you can check the replays. Make sure you check the episode 1 with Nathalie. Then she'll take you from the attention technique exercise as well. Obviously, please subscribe to this channel to get notification about upcoming events. And also, watch all the replays because that's episode 11 today. Thank you, Nathalie, so much. If you have any questions, guys,
Pleasure.
you can always pop it in the comments, and you can find Nathalie on LinkedIn. You can see her name on the screen. I can't say her last name, so
Just like Jimi Hendrix. Is a long version of Hendrix. Like just think Jimi Hendrix, the same.
Thank you, Nathalie. Yojin saying thanks.
Welcome.
Thank you so much, and we'll see you on next Tuesday. Thank you.
Bye everyone. Bye bye.